Good afternoon, everyone. I hope every one of you are enjoying all the informative sessions that we have seen since morning on the DrupalCamp India Refresh 2022. I welcome all of you to my session where we'll talk about ads, right? Essentially, we'll look at perspectives of actually implementing ads in Drupal, and we'll also look at how from a nascent stage, if you are someone who is actually trying to gather the requirements with the customer or trying to plan about building ads. So we'll try and cover the entire journey about ads implementation in Drupal. So we'll try and I'll try and cover as much as I can, be as much detailed as I can in the next 30 minutes or so that I have for this presentation. Now, a quick question, right, which always pops in our mind when we talk about great websites, right? We all here on the call, some way or the other, are helping our customers build great websites and help them manage their websites better using Drupal, right? And most of the times what we're looking at enhancing their page performances, we're looking at enhancing their SEO scores, editorial experience enhancements, building the right UI, and the user journeys. There's one element which is advertisements, which is actually generating big business for the customer, right? I should say there is a backend team or a hero that is running in the backend, which is the ad operations team, which is managing the entire ads in the system to actually make sure that the big bucks keep flowing into the successful businesses that our customers have, right? So in this session, I'm going to talk about how Drupal's out-of-the-box capabilities around ads management. I'm going to specifically use the advertisement entity as the module, which is available out of the box from Drupal, and see how we can create a scalable solutions for our customers who are looking at ad revenues for and also actually enhance the overall editorial experience for the ads operation team who are actually managing the ads, right? So that's going to be the session that we're going to talk about today through the next half an hour or so. Now, few items that I'm going to talk about. So we'll start with some very basics to set the foundation for everyone. If you're not haven't heard about some of the nuances or technical terms, we'll try and understand the backstory about how an ads work on a typical website. Then we'll see about if you have to implement ads on a website, what are the approaches that as a customer or as a solution provider we can take, and then we'll deep dive into some specific requirements that we should ask our customers to actually get to a state where we can actually plan for solutioning of advertisements using the ads entity module, right? Through this process, we'll also go through Drupal screens where we'll see actual implementation of ad entities and how the actual operations work of ads would work. And then we possibly see it towards the end about the integration aspects about once the ads are implemented, how we can integrate with various downstream systems like mobile apps and various analytics and intelligence systems as well. Lastly, we'll cover the Q&A aspect, right? So let's deep dive. First of all, just an appreciation towards the module creator and maintainers of this module that I'm going to talk about, which is the advertising entity. We are highly grateful, right, to this community of all the builders and contributors that we are here, through which we can actually help our customers solve some of their key business problems, right? Now, when we talk about ads, right, one of the key elements, we see ads all around wherever we go, right? In our digital properties, we see ads all around there, but it's very crucial that the ads which are being shown to a user is contextual, is relevant, and is not actually annoying the user, right? We always think about how we can skip the ads in 3 seconds on YouTube, right? So that's the general notion. The time frame about getting a user interested in your brand is very minuscule, and we have to capture that. Now, as a solution, a person who is actually building a solutions for the customer, that's where the important aspect of Drupal comes into the picture, and using advertisement entities about how we can actually make contextual ads, or ads which are more useful, can generate more revenues for our customers. And at the same time, it's more easy for the ad operations team who's actually managing the ads and taking all the business use cases that comes in day out, right? And requirements from advertisers. So how we can actually merge all of that together and bundle it towards one solution that makes advertisers happy and also the ad operations team who's actually managing the ads happy as well, right? So you see sites where the ads are being targeted with a specific type of content. You see, if it's a women's section, you have ads from a specific brand who has a very women-centric targeted kind of products that they would like to show, right? Like in this example. So how are these ads actually being targeted? How are these ads actually being created, right? You might have all of these questions in your mind, and we'll see through this entire life cycle about how the ads becomes contextual. So first we'll talk about how ads actually come on the site, and then we'll also talk about how it becomes contextual. So this graphic that I want to present here is just want to show that there is a very small window about an impression of an ad that shows on the website, and actually converting a customer into actually your aficionado who can actually go in and buy your piece of product or service that you're providing, right? So to make sure that your ads are contextual, we'll try and first understand how ad actually works at the first place on a normal Drupal setting, right? So one basic, if I talk about the workflow from the left, right? If I am an end user who logs into, say, for example, Times of India, right? And I am in a world section particularly. I log into the site and I am here at that web page. So what is happening in the background, right? When the user hits that web page at the first time, Drupal is making sure and taking control over what kind of ads need to be served to the user. So in terms of what positions, what type of ads, what kind of targeting parameters that we would like one user to see that particular ad. So all of that targeting particularly is being sent across via Drupal through ad request. So Drupal sends the ad request to the ad server. Ad server essentially is consuming all of this metadata information that is sent via Drupal, consumes this information, and then returns the appropriate assets. When we talk about here, right, when the request is sent, Drupal is actually managing and controlling the ad positions, the ad types, what are the targeting and specifics, what ad operations team needs for a particular kind of a page. Then ad server, what it is doing is reading all of that metadata information and then appropriately assigning an ad asset, right? An ad asset could be, an image or of an advertiser that they would like to show. So ad server essentially is reading it and sending back this information to Drupal or our web page here, which then actually renders the ad on our front end. As we see from the Drupal side, the main controlling in terms of what ads we want to where we want to show the ads, what kind of ads we want to show, what are the key targeting parameters that are there. So all of those is in control from the Drupal system, which in turn is with the ad operations team of a typical website administration. Now, having said that, this is a typical setup of how an ad would get rendered on your system. Now, there are various approaches about actually implementing ads on your website, right? So when you start from the very basic approach, is that you have the ad server. Ad server, what it needs is it needs a basic markup of an ad, and then it will return us what ad needs to be rendered. So the straight away direct approach is that we put the ads markup that we'll shortly see in details as well. We'll directly put the ads markup on a page, and that ads gets visible, gets rendered on the page, right? So this is the one obvious approach that marketers would or advertisement operations team might be thinking that, okay, I'll put the ad embed code or the markup on the site on the page, and it will start rendering. But there are various downsides to it as well, right? In addition to how easy it is to put it, the downsides include a lot of manual work for the ad operations, right? Because as advertisers are demanding every day, they need specific targeting information as well, where their ads are being projected, because it's their money, right? They need return on investments that they're putting If they are presenting an ad on your website, they would make sure that they are getting enough traction, enough user traffic, enough contextual, that their ads are actually contextual as well, right? So to manage all of that targeting, it all becomes manual work then for advertisers or ad operations team. Then if you have to integrate it with any downstream systems like mobile apps, for example, again, it becomes very tedious because then it further becomes two different systems that you have to manage, and again, a big headache for the ad operations team. Thirdly, it also becomes even challenging when we are managing breakpoints. So when we say breakpoints, it essentially means that from ad standpoint, I'm saying one ad which appears on the desktop, how and which position does it appears on a mobile browser, and then how it appears on tablet screens, and then on mobile apps as well. So there are all of these breakpoints, and breakpoints could vary as well depending upon business to businesses, how they're targeting, right? So managing breakpoints, what kind of ads, what kind of targets we want to do for each breakpoint, again, becomes far more tedious task for ad operations team to manage, right? So that's where Drupal comes into the picture. That's the solution that we propose our customers with Drupal, right? Which is to use this ad entity module. What it does is essentially everything that you see here becomes a pro here for ad operations team. So ad ops get full control over targeting your parameters, define what kind of ads they want to put across each breakpoint, right? And then direct control over what positions they would like an ad to be shown. So by using direct integrations with Drupal's layout builder, editors and ad operations can directly control what positions, and we'll shortly see as well how this is done. Another key aspect is this API up ready. So the Drupal out-of-the-box APIs are essentially out-of-the-box available for these ad entities as well, which makes it easy to integrate with any mobile apps or ad intelligence systems that you might want to use to make your ads more contextual, right? And lastly, there are new services that our customers are providing nowadays. You might have seen Times of India giving this ad-free experience, right? Or a lot of publishers and different companies and services are giving an ad-free experience, where even YouTube gives an ad-free experience, right? We have all seen that. So we can extend this same module into an ads-free experience as well of our customers. Again, by using simple control over parameters, which we'll shortly look at in the upcoming slides, right? So as we go forward from here, where we have decided on the approach about, right, where we want to be. Approach one essentially comes into the picture where you are creating kind of a microsite where it's just one pager specifically directed towards one kind of an advertiser, and you know that what kind of ad assets would come there, right? Then there is no thinking game involved. You can directly use approach one. But where you're looking at an enterprise kind of a solution where you have different type of content like videos, podcasts, different kind of sections targeted to different consumer groups, you essentially would need a solution like an entity, ads entity module, which would actually help. Now, once we have decided on the approach, what we now come is the first and the basic step about ad implementation. So now we'll get a bit into the technical and the nitty-gritties about ad implementation as a whole on a page. So we do it on Drupal or we do it on any other platform. An ads markup is the heart of any ad implementation, right? So here I've pasted a very simple ad HTML markup that we put on a page, put on a web page to actually get a response from the web ad server for the ad assets, right? So how it generally goes is it starts with a very small script tag, which has some defined slots, right? These are what we call parameters. So we'll talk shortly about what are the different parameters and what we can add for targeting. So a small request that is being built, which is sent to the ad server, right? Along with all of these parameters, a request is being sent, which is the Google tag. Like this example I'm taking from Google TFP, which is double click for publishers, which is an ad server. or is now called Google Ads Manager as well, right? So we kind of send an ad request using this ads markup. This ads markup is not essentially fixed in terms of the syntax, depending upon different ad servers providers. This ads markup will change, and depending upon what targeting parameters you have will also get updated based on use cases. Now, from Drupal standpoint, right, how we are actually placing this markup is that on a page, Drupal would be setting up HTML containers, right? So if I go back to this earlier slide, say for example, this is my home page, and I'm saying along with these stories, I have this container, HTML container defined for an ad to appear here. And likewise, there is another HTML container defined at this position for an ad to appear here, right? What Drupal does is then for each of the HTML ads container, they do an ads markup call. And ads markup, as I've already mentioned, is something like this, which natively goes to at the ad server. Now, there are further complications in terms of either Drupal does one call toward the ad server, each call for every ad unit that is present on your page, or there is a single request architecture as well, which is a broader discussion in itself, where we are sending all of the ad units on one page together as one request as well. But essentially, in terms of layman terms, what we're saying is there are blocks of ads that are placed at a specific positions on your web page, and Drupal essentially what it is doing is sending out ads markup for each of those HTML containers. Now, ad server reads those targeting parameters and all the different markups that is sent by Drupal, and then returns an appropriate ad asset, which actually aligns with the targeting parameters that we have sent from Drupal. Now, once this response comes from the ad server, then it's just about rendering that ad impression on the page. Now, how it also helps is in controlling is we can also do scheduling, visibility of the ads. So we can do hiding of ads, particularly like from an ad-free experience perspective, where an ads can be hidden from the page as well. Again, from the markup itself, a parameter could be added which can actually help Drupal to define, okay, hey, this is one of the ads which I want to hide from X type of users. Then that specific HTML container can be hidden from that web page by Drupal itself. Again, this is an extendable feature which can be built in case-to-case basis, right? And as I've mentioned, this is a DFP based markup. Your markups could differ with every different ad provider that you are going to use. This is just a sample that I wanted to provide, right? So now that you have a markup kind of laid out about for your ad request, the next step comes is about gathering all the requirements for the ads that is needed for your business. So there are 5 main key items that as a solutions architect or person who's actually implementing ads on a brand or for a customer, the key elements that we need to look at first is ad unit and ad sizes. So we need to finalize on what are the specific ad units that we need, what are the sizes of each ad unit that we need, and for what page, what kind of ad will be needed, and what sizes, right? To give you an example, this is one small, again, the ad sizes and ad types varies from customer to customer. So this is one like ad inventory from like what one of the advertisers uses, right? So they have Excel billboards and the sizes defined here for desktop, and likewise they have sizes defined for mobile. Like they have leaderboard ads, which is essentially an ad which is more of a rectangular. They have ads like interactive mobile units, which is called IMU in advertising terms. Interactive mobile units, which shows up on desktop, mobile, tablets as well. And there are various different ads as well. So from our standpoint, we need to define what are the sizes we need and what are the different ad types our advertiser is looking for, and then actually come up with an ad specification. So I have a small screenshot to share here how a ad specification might look like, right? So if you have a home page, you define, okay, I need leaderboard ads, IMU ads, XYZ ads, and these on each breakpoints, what are the different sizes I need? So we need to gather all of this information together for each of the page, what are the different ads we need, and the breakpoint wise, what are the sizes. Once you have all the sizes and the breakpoint ad types defined, next it comes is the ad rules. Now, what we have seen is with different publishers, they have different rules on their site. So again, I'm just going to take an example of a basic news publisher site like Times of India, for example. Times of India might have some specific ad units or containers defined on their homepage, right? So they might have a global leaderboard container at the top, and then on their article pages, you might have seen, okay, this ad actually appears at this specific position, right? So there are programmatic ad rules as well, which are standard because articles are a lot, right? So there could be standard rules defined in terms of, okay, my ad appears after 2 paragraphs of the content body, or after every video, right? There is an ad. So all of those rules need to be defined for where the ad needs to come and for what page, what are the rules. So once you have defined all of that from the rules perspective, now comes the important part, which is the targeting aspect of it. Now, this varies from business to business. You have to brainstorm with your customer and understand what essentially are your key categorization or targeting that you want to do in terms of the content that you're providing. So if I'm a news publisher, I am looking at content related to world, I have content related to lifestyle, entertainment, Hollywood, woman-centric content, right? All of those could be there. So you have to define what are the categories of targeting that you want for your ad. And this is going to be one of the backbone that we'll talk about ad entities in the later slide. So for example, I've just taken some very standard examples, like you have categories like woman, Hollywood. You have defined that category or keyword is one of the main targeting parameter I would use. Then another parameter could be type of content. So if you say, hey, I have a lot of videos on my site on this section, this could be another targeting parameter where advertiser comes in and say, hey, I would like to buy all of your ad impressions at one of this new web series that you have started on your site, right? So that's another type of a targeting that you provide with your advertisers, right? So you have to define, okay, I have articles, I have videos, I have podcasts, and it could be a combination of both as well, saying that, hey, I want articles which belong to possibly Hollywood, for example. So you have to very carefully define what are the targeting parameters for your ads implementation, right? So I've just defined here like program. So you could have like a Money Heist season 5 as one of the program name, for example, which could be another targeting parameter. So you have to define those parameters. And then once all the parameters are defined, the next part is the fourth part, which is actually defining the ads parameters in 1, 2, 3, 4 fashion. By default, from the markup, as you've seen, there is some standards that is needed from ad server side. So what environment, right? And possibly your brand name particularly. Then parameter 2 could be, what is the ad type? Is it an interactive mobile unit? Is it a leaderboard ad? What kind of an ad is it, right? Then parameter 3, 4, XYZ, right? It could be any parameters that you have to define based on your business. And yeah, step 5 is obviously you have to identify what kind of an ad server you are using and integrating or sending your ad request to. So for DFP, we have a module available in D.O, which is DFP itself. And likewise for all other ads providers as well, we have different modules that can help generate the appropriate markup for you with the ads entity. Now, to give a typical example about 4 or 5 parameters, so I've taken like environment, right, which will be my brand. So I could have multiple brands as well. So one parameter could be brand. Another could be my ad type, what kind of ad I want to target. Next is the section. So it could be entertainment section, it could be woman section. Then type of page. Is it a video page? Is it a home page? Is it an article page? Right? In other kind of businesses, whatever is applicable, right? The type of pages can be defined here. Then the content name is another parameter, as I gave you an example of Money Heist. So season 5 money heist is another kind of a targeting parameter that you can define for your advertisers, right? And ad server to actually target. A very easy example, I was going through the site here, right, is this site here, which is a lifestyle driven site, but they have a section for women. And over here, if we see, all the ad units have been bought by Tiffany, right? Essentially what advertisers do is they come in and say, hey, I want to buy all the ad inventories on the woman section. So it becomes very easy because we have kind of defined here that, hey, I have woman as a section. So for ad server, it's very easy to make a targeted call on the ads, right? So once we have done here, next up is once we have defined all of these requisites or gathered all the requirements for the ads related work, next up is actually getting to the ads entity or the advertisement entity module. So there is a very straightforward 3-step process for setting up ads entity module. So first step is defining advertisement entities of individual ad types for each of the breakpoints, and we'll shortly see how it's done. Once we set up all the individual entities, we then set up for each of the breakpoints how and what ad needs to be shown. And lastly, we use the layout builder to actually place the ad on as a container on any of the web page. Now, these could be programmatic ad, or it could be manually added from the layout builder as well. So we'll see first step here. So I'll just go into Drupal here with so this module right now. So we have installed the advertising entity module. What you would see here is kind of a custom solution which has been built based on customer needs, right? In terms of what parameters they need, but it can vary. But however, it might give you a very clear direction towards how an ad entity looks like. So we need to have ad entities defined for each of the ad types. So say, for example, you want interactive mobile units as one of the ad type. So we can define ad entities for desktop, mobile, mobile for Android, mobile for iOS, and one for tablet. So each of the ad entities can be defined. And how we can define an ad entity is very simple. So there is one form that comes from the advertisement entity module itself, which is a customizable form, as I mentioned, based on parameters that you want, you can define. So say, for example, I gave advertisement entity specifically for desktop. You specify the network codes. This is basically from the ad server. Then you define what is the ad type. So medium rectangle particularly is one of the ad type. From businesses to businesses, the ad nomenclature changes, the naming changes, right? But we have given generic names like leaderboards, medium rectangle, which is IMU mostly. And then you specify the ID of the ad, basically define the key parameters. So if I could show you, a form like this. So you define ad types, what kind of ad you want. You define the ad units, ad unit 1, which is essentially your brand name. Ad unit 2 is essentially what is the number of ad, basically IMU1, IMU2, IMU3. So if you have more than one kind of same ad, we have to define individual ad entities. So as you see, I've defined IMU1 here. If I am defining IMU2, then I would select IMU2. Then you select what are the different allowed sizes. How this helps is for ad server, they can then appropriately target the ad size on a specific location, right? So you specify all the ad sizes. Then this form again is all custom that you can add as per your information. So we have position as well. This is something optional. You can define positions from the layout builder as well directly by drag and drop, that we'll see. Then a few other options as well. Like if you have lazy loading, if you have sticky ads, you can define all of that here in the entity. Essentially, you have to define a form with all the parameters that you have, and then come up with a form with sizes and all the different fields that you would need from the ad entity perspective. Now, some of these parameters here might be dynamic in nature. You need not add as part of your ad entity while you're defining. Say, for example, you have an IMU1 ad, which you know that can be placed on any of the section. So Drupal can actually dynamically pull some parameters as well. Like for example, parameter 3 in this case. So wherever you're placing the ad, we can pull in whatever category or keyword it is aligned to. So it automatically picks up that. Then what type of page is it? So many of this thing can be dynamically added as well, can be fetched during the ad call. However, some of the things which are kind of static, you can add it as part of your ad entity form itself. So once you have added the ad entity form, so we have created, like for IMU, we have IMU desktop, mobile, tablets, essentially for all the breakpoints. This is for one ad unit. Same thing, you have to define it for, like you have IMU2, for example. You have to define it for every individual ad unit. Across breakpoints, we'll have to define individual ad entity. So once you have defined it, the second step is to go into display configuration. What display configuration essentially doing is, for every ad unit, over here, you have to just specify, like if you have IMU1, you just need to specify a display advertising configuration. What it is doing is helping you define breakpoints. So IMU1, if this is one of the ad unit that is placed on your page, then what is the corresponding ad entity we need to use? So you can define, okay, for small breakpoints, you can have mobile. For a medium breakpoint like tablets, as you have already seen, we have defined an entity for tablets. For IMU1, you select that. Similarly for desktop, for mobile app for Android and iOS can be defined separately. So each of these, you specify ad entities with individual targeting parameters in it. Once you have defined, this essentially is your breakpoint management, right? If tomorrow advertisers come and say, hey, even though we are putting an IMU1 here, right, as the unit, I would like on the desktops, I don't want an IMU, I would like a leaderboard to appear, right? So you can just simply select leaderboard from here as one of the ad entity that can show up on your desktop, right? So you can select leaderboard from here. Let me take leaderboard as an example, right? So you can select leaderboard, any of the different modules, and it will actually use that specific ad entity to serve it on your breakpoint. Now, once you have specified these ad entities and created display configurations, last step is to just go into the layout builder. So if you have, this is one of your landing pages, all you have to do is go into the layout builder and put that ad as a block. So as you see, you have like different blocks of content in your layout builder. All you have to do is the way you generally put content. Say for example, I want to place an IMU block here, and as an ad operations team, I will just go into add component, go into more, and search for that same IMU, and you would get all of the individual configurations that I've made for the each ad unit. So IMU, when you have selected this IMU here, what essentially it is doing is it takes care of all the different breakpoints. So you have to just specify this one configuration that we made here for IMU. This is what I selected, and it essentially takes care of all of these breakpoints that I've specified. It takes up all the targeting information, metadata information about all of these breakpoints that we have specified here while creating entities individually. Once you place your ad component here, you can also move it around. Like this is one of the ad component that you have, you can move it around at a specific position, right? Native layout builder functionalities that you can use. Once it is done, you're good to go, right? Your ad is now placed at a specific position. It starts appearing at whichever position you have placed the ad on your layout builder, and starts showing up as well. Once this is done, right? At the very beginning, I talked about placing containers on your web pages and then making an ads call with the ad server. This is where we are, right? So our markup is defined based on what entity we have created here, and the entire markup information, including all the breakpoint information, is then taken care of very easily by the advertisement entity module. All for AdOps team is to just place the ad at the right place, and rest the advertisement entity module would send as part of the ads markup. Now over here itself, you can over here in the ads entity itself, you can also add different parameters. So I have talked about ad free experience. So for example, uh, you have certain users who are premium users who gets ads free experience. So you can also pass on the SSO IDs or certain parameters along with the ads markup itself that tells Drupal that okay, these are the users who are coming with a specific SSO ID and should not see ad. So in that case, a custom solution can be built over top of this as an extension where we are saying that hey, my ads will be hidden from those specific users, right? So important key here is that we are defining the right parameters, right? Making sure we then set up the right entities along with all the parameters we need, and then place the ads by using ad entities and display configurations on the page. So that actually sets up your ads on the page, and then it's up to the ad server to use all the metadata that you have placed along with your markup to actually suggest you an appropriate ad asset which you can render it later on. So that's a life cycle that you generally would use on a typical ad setting solution that you're building on, right? As the next step, when you talk about integrations of this ads, a basic integration could be with API, would be with mobile apps, for example, right? Mobile apps, it's a different system altogether. It could be on a different right. So what we leverage here is there is out of the box APIs from Drupal that can be leveraged, and advertisement entity metadata that we have specified as per each of the advertisement entities while we have defined can all be easily shared as part of the APIs itself. And then though from the mobile app perspective, they have to do integration with the Google Ad Manager SDK particularly, but in terms of positioning, right, from advertiser standpoint, they need not worry about, hey, on the mobile app, how should my ad look like? Because for them, they would get the position from the layout builder itself, what we are specifying here, right? When we create a out of the box API, the position would automatically be defined in the API. And then that's what the mobile apps would leverage to show it on their side of things. On the similar lines, when we talk about different ad intelligence parameters as well, there are various services like Lotame, Grapeshot, Moat, Brand Matrix, right? Outbrain, which provides native advertisements, or SSO for that matter, right? For ad free experience. All of those can be easily added in the markup if you have integrations. Simple, just adding the specific, if there are specific parameters needed, can be added in the markup itself and can be controlled when an ad call is made to the ad server. So essentially, that's essentially what you do. And then if you talk about video ads for that matter, video ad is kind of a separate entity in itself, is not managed through this module. Again, there is a GAM integration with a specific player that you're using for videos. It could be a Brightcove player, it could be Oyala or any other system that you're using for videos. You can actually integrate your GAM SDKs with that video player, and then your ads can also be sent. So again, an extendable module that can be used here from the advertisement entity module itself. So yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in terms of from where we are starting of actually defining what we need from business perspective, what are the key target parameters we need, and then actually getting into setting up all of these ad kind of environment with all the entities, setting up all the breakpoints, and then placing the ads on a specific page. That's the entire life cycle of setting up of an ad and a solution on the Drupal platform or a Drupal site that you would be generally using, right? One last thing to add is that your ads could be manually entered, as I've shown you here, by placing it manually on the layout builder, or it could be an ad which is on particularly an ad on a detail page, for example, right? Like an article page, like in this case, where advertisers need not go into each and every article because there could be thousands and thousands of articles. So it can also be programmatically placed. For example, as you see this leaderboard ad as the top, could be a rule defined saying that through my site, my leaderboard ad should be there right below the menu. So that's one rule programmatically can be defined, and that's a solution that we can propose. And then there's an ad which we are saying after 2 paragraphs we need an ad. So all of this can be programmatically defined during solution as well, and we can easily use the same ad entities and just place it on our the layout of our detail pages that we have. So that's how we can place the ads as well. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to cover as this session. I hope you could gain some information about how you can solution the ads from the Drupal standpoint and use the advertisement entity module. The podium is open for questions. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.